Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. I'm excited to have Andrew Himes, team leader of the Andrew Himes Group from our Collegeville office, join us for our conversation today. Andrew's team has consistently performed at a very high level, earning Chairman's Circle Platinum honors for 2023, placing them in the top 1% of the Berkshire Hathaway network nationwide. Beyond his professional success, Andrew exemplifies the work hard, play hard philosophy, skillfully balancing the demands of leading a high-performing five-person team with a fulfilling personal life. In this episode, we'll delve into Andrew's strategies for maintaining this equilibrium, exploring how he manages to excel in real estate while carving out time for personal pursuits. So let's get right into the episode with Andrew, and we'll pick it up on the other side. I'm lucky to have Andrew Himes with me today. For those who don't know Andrew, first of all, you don't know what you're missing. But secondly, he is the team leader of the superstar team known as the Andrew Himes Group out of our Collegeville office. Andrew, I'm glad that we could pull you off the back nine at Turtle Creek to get this interview done today. So how you doing?
Good. I got all my golf in on Monday and a nice little charity outing that we happened to win. So that was a lovely start to the week. No complaints.
Well, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are the anchor to that squad. Is that true? Are you the lowest handicap on the team?
On that team, I was. We had a very good day. So
nice, man.
It was fun. Yeah.
All right. I'm always the guy that people have to compensate for, in the fourth, that's spraying all over the place.
It's the beauty of a scramble, right?
I was going to say, yeah, scrambles are my friend because I usually have someone better playing with me. So I know that golf is one of your favorite hobbies, and it plays right into our episode today, which is work hard, play hard, balancing real estate with time off. Now, I know you and I have known each other for several years, and one thing that always struck me about you was for a highly successful agent and, with a pretty decent sized team at that, you're always doing something cool outside of work. And so I see you on social media with the golfing photos. I see trips to cool places. I see sporting events, family stuff, all that is going on in your life while trying to run a very successful business. So it seems like from afar, at least, there is a concerted effort upon your part to live a good life outside of work. So my first question to you is, how do you define a balanced lifestyle when it comes to work and personal time?
So first off, thanks for having me. It's a perfect question to get started with. It's actually something that we're trying to instill in our children right now. At 15 and 13, they're both in two different but very academically challenging schools right now. So trying to get them to complete a ton of homework every night and still do all the fun stuff that teenagers like to do is very challenging. But for me, it's more about, getting to be able to, consciously managing my time to be able to do those things that we want to do with them or, just myself, just my wife, whatever it is. But it's more about, setting ourselves up each day for knowing what needs to get done so that we can, ultimately enjoy the fruits of the labor. It is a job, but it's also a means to get us to be able to do the things that we want to do. So really prioritizing those things. There's so many distractions that can get in the way. Golf being one of them, texting, who wants to join me for 9 holes in the middle of the day. But it really is just knowing what needs to get done, having that stuff, having the tools in place to be able to get them done and to be able to go out and do the fun stuff too that comes along with it. So,
well, you talked about, kind of like blocking out those places. Are you a big time blocking guy? Are you like well in advance blocking some of this stuff out? Or is it more like you look at your week ahead and that's what's going on?
Yeah. So I'm like I was mentioned before we started recording. I'm big on actually coming into the office to work to get things done because I get so much more done here than I do working at home. Too many other distractions. So My wife's a teacher. Both of the kids leave early for school. I'm usually out the door right at the same time as them, sometime between 7:15. So I'm always the first person here at the office. Usually able to get a lot of that, stuff that you don't want any distractions while you're trying to get it done. Really try to knock that stuff out first thing in the morning before you're getting the, emergency phone calls from the lender or from clients trying to figure out, how to solve everybody's problems. So not necessarily specific time, specific things that I'm time blocking for outside of knowing that I have those, 2 hours first thing in the morning to try to get those non-interrupted tasks done.
Well, it's amazing how productive you can be when you do set aside a couple hours first thing in the morning to get stuff done. I kind of do the same thing where I was saying this in actually a business planning meeting yesterday that we were having in the office, that I try and get the really important stuff out of the way first thing in the morning, and then that opens up my afternoon for other things. It seems like you kind of live by that creed as well. You've been in the real estate business for a long time now, and you've had a team for a long time. So was there a specific point in your career or a specific time in a transaction where the light bulb kind of went off and you thought to yourself, I need to take more time off and stop working so much, as many of our younger agents start to evolve during the course of their career?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I've been in real estate since 2005. Hopped right into a commission only job 2 months after returning from our honeymoon after we got married. So it was certainly, that time of life was a lot easier. We didn't have any kids. We didn't have to, worry about, am I going to miss, a kid's soccer game or whatever it is. So I started in 2005. I came to Fox and Roach in 2009, a couple months actually before our first kid was born. And I'd say probably about 2 years later, I wasn't even really starting to think about the team. That team concept wasn't really something that I had thought about until Barry Beal, who was our manager at that point, came to me, said he interviewed a new agent who he thought would be a good fit for me to kind of take under my wing and help out. So my whole idea of the team was never it wasn't about giving myself more time off. It was really about helping new agents learn the ropes of the industry and not kind of get thrown to the wolves like I did when I first started at another company where there wasn't really the training that we offered. So I wanted to be able to do that. So it was more, the beginning stages of the team was more as a mentorship type role, as opposed to, hey, I want somebody there to help take some of this stuff off my plate.
As a team leader, there's obviously a lot of responsibility on your part. Do you feel like because of your team, though, it also allows you to free up time on your end? So, for example, if you're having an open house, maybe you have one of your agents at an open house, or if you have, I don't know if you have an assistant on your team, but, they can take care of different things for you to help free up your time. Do you find that helps you at all? Like having a team, does that help to free up time, or does it take more of your time up, or is it both?
No. So, there's certainly times where it takes up some time, helping new agents go through, contract stuff and stuff like that. But I haven't done an open house personally myself in a while because, it was a lot of the stuff I did as a new agent. So I do give those opportunities to agents on the team that want to do them. But more, so I don't have an in-house admin. It's a third-party company through my website that does a lot of our back-end stuff. But it really does allow me the opportunity to say, at the beginning of my career, I would say, you come to me and you want to buy a house and you want to go to Bucks County. All right, let's hop in the car. We're going to Bucks County. Now it's more, I can be a little bit more selective with where I go and what I want to take on personally. And, it is one of the benefits of having a team is, you do want to help those other agents build their business. So if there is a client that isn't a personal referral to me directly, I will give them those opportunities to, they're at the stage of their career where they are willing to go a little bit further away to help clients, where me, I'd rather, help them along in that transaction, from afar and give myself some more of that free time. So it definitely is a benefit that way.
Well, and speaking as a team leader, how does taking time off or having personal time impact your productivity at work? Does it help you more and by taking that time off to be more productive overall when you can get away for a while?
Oh, absolutely. I think what's the old adage? If you want to get busy in real estate, schedule a vacation. So I definitely think that
the secret to your success. Yeah.
Yes, definitely holds a lot of weight, but it really does. It lets you recharge. It lets you step away. Sometimes you're in the throes of it on every hour of the day that you're going to drive yourself crazy if you don't give yourself a little bit of time to step away. So having the team, somebody wants to go away, somebody's covering for them while they're away so that they don't have to worry about it. Still make myself available if there's something that absolutely needs to be handled. But the beauty of it is you have somebody there to take care of the, I don't want to say, the mundane tasks of the day to day while you take a couple days to reset and recharge.
When we came on, right before we came on, I was telling you about literally, I raced home. I sped home to hop on this podcast with you. And I was telling you that I had a settlement this morning. Before that settlement, I had to go pick up food for a Broker's Open I was having after the settlement. So I dropped that food off at my house because it needed to be refrigerated. I went to this settlement, came back to my house, picked up the food, drove to my Broker's Open, had the Broker's Open for a couple hours, came back to the office, dropped off the paperwork from that closing, and then literally race home to get on with you. And I was 10 minutes late. But all in all, I felt like I was at least on task. But you talk about racing here and there and everywhere. So how do you best handle the moments when work demands, threaten to encroach on your personal time? How do you best handle that? Because I know that's one place that I really do not do well, is that I give up my free time way too easy. How do you stick to that kind of goal of not letting that encroach on your personal time?
I'm the exact same as you. I don't do well with it at all.
Moving on.
Yeah. No, I mean, we are in a people business, and there's a lot of things that are time sensitive in our industry. So we don't have the ability to completely just step away when it's going to encroach on personal time. There are sacrifices that we make for this job. And, you just have to know what you are willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice. So for me, if it is something that is deadline specific, I'm going to make that sacrifice. I'm not going to let a client miss out on, making an offer on a house because I wanted to go to happy hour with, friends. If we need to go and see a house because the deadline to submit an offer is tomorrow at noon, we're going to go see the house tonight and we're going to fit it in. But if it is something that is not time pressing or urgent, I've become, after 20 years in the business, become a lot more willing to, to set up those boundaries and just say, hey, listen, I have something planned for this evening. We'll certainly make this a priority first thing tomorrow. But outside of, like I said, outside of deadline specific stuff, which I will, as long as no one's dying, not to make it sound funny, but as long as it's not a life pressing issue, we're gonna make sure that we meet those deadlines for clients. So
being in the business as long as you have, and I think this happens to a lot of us, is that when you're new to the business, you know what's important, but you don't have a sense of this can wait and I can get to that later, as opposed to I need to do everything right now. And
we have the idea that we need to please everyone all the time.
Exactly.
And that when I first started, it was like, oh my God, my phone rang and I missed a call. Was that the next lead that was coming in? And now, I missed the call. They're going to go and just move along to the next person because I didn't answer the phone. So obviously that's not the case all the time. Every time the phone rings, especially with how many phone calls we get during political season, no phone call is really important right now. But it is definitely different than it was when I started, where, you didn't really have the option to not be on all the time because you might, your first year in the business, you might sell 5 houses. So you need to be, you need to be readily available at all the time. But now where you can be a little bit more selective, it helps you kind of, I don't want to say check out, but take that downtime that you need.
You talked about setting boundaries earlier. So can you kind of elaborate on that? And are there any tips for setting boundaries that you have in the way that you think? So for me, like I try and keep everything from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Right. And I try and tell my clients up front that that's when I'm available. Like, please don't text me at like 6:30 in the morning. And as you know, that happens more than you would think, that we get those texts early morning, very late at night. Like I need a couple hours just to kind of relax. So do you try and set boundaries when you first start working with people? Like how do you enforce them if you can?
Yep. Yeah. So I tell all of our clients, right, whether it's a listing presentation or if it's a buyer consultation when we start out, I say, listen, you can text, you can call, you can email me at any point. My phone goes on do not disturb at 9 p.m. and it doesn't come off until 7 a.m. So if I see it and I'm available, I may respond to you. But if you text me outside of those hours, you may not get a response until the next day. So I think people are more appreciative when they know that up front and they're not expecting it. I think if you don't tell them that and the first time they text you at 10:30 and you respond, they're expecting that response the next time at 10:30. So setting it up front, and I tell them, listen, if I see your message and I can respond right away, I will. Especially if it's after 9 o'clock and we're in the middle of negotiating an offer, I'm certainly going to be on the horn with you until we wrap this up. So more about them knowing that non-pressing issues are probably not going to be responded to, at least setting that up initially, and under promise and over deliver.
So. Yeah, for sure. I think that definitely is the case. As we evolve in our careers, there's certain things that come to light. I feel like that we all kind of tend to, it took years for me for the light bulb to go off. Like I need to think about doing things this way in order to keep me sane. And that's different for everybody, that just what works for one person may not work for another, but just the overarching theme is that you need to take that time away. So what role do hobbies and non-work related interests play in sustaining your career momentum? We talked a little bit about taking that time off, but when it comes to hobbies, like you would mention golf, we use that as an example a lot. But that also can help fuel your business, right? Your career momentum by taking people out to play golf. You're doing something that you love and at the same time potentially getting business out of it. So, do your hobbies play a part in your career momentum?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the first things I tell all the agents on my team is when they're getting started, find the niche that they are truly passionate about. Like we just talked about, for me, that's golf. One of the best things that my wife ever allowed me to do was 10 years ago, we joined Springford Country Club, and it was the best move that we ever made. I was playing 6-hour rounds of golf at Turtle Creek on the weekends, and that quickly becomes not sustainable once you have young kids. So met a ton of great people at the club, but also have met a ton of great business contacts. So I've helped some of the club's employees. I've helped other club members. I've helped family members of club members with their real estate needs. So it's really about diving into whatever you're passionate about, because if you're going to spend that time there, it might as well be with people that have similar interests as you. It's going to forge those relationships where they're going to want to work with you. So it's kind of at this point, we certainly have plenty of real estate agents at our club. I'm certainly not the only one, but it makes it a lot easier when you're already in the space where they know and trust you, it just makes the business side of it much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's the know, like, and trust that we always talk about. Like you said, there might be 100 agents at the golf club, but if you gravitate towards certain people that you just become friendly with, it's inevitable that most likely you're going to get business from that, regardless of how many people are out there Networking is networking and all about relationships. So, when I was a kid, that my mother's been in the business for 40 years. I used to get drug everywhere. I hated real estate with a passion growing up because I got drugged to those places. But now, obviously, it helped me in my career. So with the kids, do you integrate family or personal interests into your busy work schedule? Like, do the kids come with you from time to time? Like, do you separate that out completely? How do you handle having the family aspect with work?
Yeah. So when the kids were really young, I think they came to more closings than a lot of agents in the business. They were there before they were in school. If I had a closing at 10:30, they were sitting there in the in the stroller or whatever at the beginning of my career. Now, my oldest son plays ice hockey both at school and in Westchester. So there's numerous times where he's had to come to a showing right before I have to drop him off at the rink. So I try to keep them out of it as much as possible. But there's been plenty of times where they're sitting in the car in the driveway waiting for me to get done showing a house before I have to take them somewhere else. So not as much anymore, but certainly at the beginning of my career, they were front and center a lot more than I probably would have wanted them to, and probably they wanted to be. But they became very good friends with our office admin and title agent here in the office because they were here a lot.
Yeah. I'd say I felt like I was going to prison every time I went to the office with growing up. I'll just be perfectly honest. There was not much for me to do back then. But again, you pick things up through the years. Even as a kid, you pick things up, the lifestyle, what you need to do. It really kind of helped me propel my career in real estate once I got into it. So it is kind of interesting. So are there specific habits or routines that you rely on to keep a healthy work-life balance? So is there, you said you come into the office early in the morning to get stuff done, right? Habits of that nature are what build success in your career, but also help to have a work-life balance outside of work. So are there different habits that you gravitated towards over the years to help get you that extra time outside of work?
Yeah, I think it was mostly getting, like we talked about, getting into the office and getting as much stuff done during those uninterrupted hours, so that I could leave and go play golf in the afternoon before I had to show a house in the evening. So it really, I guess the challenge with our industry is that no 2 days are alike. You're not always speeding home to hop on a podcast. Sometimes you don't have to do that. So each day is different. But I find that if I do get into the office early, I get a lot more done that I don't have to worry about, taking work home with me. And, instead of spending time trying to help the kids with their homework, I'm still trying to finish stuff from not getting everything done that day.
I know I don't have kids, so I would think that having that family, that added kind of, time consuming thing every day is an awful big challenge. And especially with what we do in the hours that we work. In your opinion, what is the biggest barrier to achieving a balance between work and leisure? What would you say that is?
I think it's the constant need to always feel like you're on. You, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you're pleasing everybody all the time. And, when you do that, you're generally not taking care of yourself because you're spending so much time focused on making sure everybody else is taken care of, which is not a bad thing, but you have to shut that off at some point and, have some time for some self-care, whether it's, going for a walk or going to the gym or going to play 9 holes of golf. I think the biggest barrier is thinking that you're going to miss an opportunity if you decide to take some time for yourself. So,
do you feel like you have a hard time saying no?
Not anymore. I did. But now it's, if I have something, if my kids are not going to be playing sports for that much longer where I'm going to be able to just pick up and go and watch them. So if they have a game, if they have something, I pretty much just block that out like an appointment anymore. And just, if somebody wants to see a house on Saturday at noon, well, I can go at 9 a.m. or I can go at 3 once the game's over. So before, I probably would have sacrificed that, thinking that they're only available at that time. If I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and I'm going to miss that opportunity. But now I think if you just with anything, if you set those expectations up front, clients are going to be much more receptive. And we are a huge part of their lives while they're going through the home buying and selling process, and making those personal connections with them where they do know that you're not just, they're a real estate agent. You have a family, you have other obligations. When you can build that personal connection, I think they're fine with knowing that you can't always be there for them at the exact time that they want to, go see a house or have a question answered. So.
Well, I think that we don't give ourselves enough grace a lot of times. And listen, I'm guilty of this. Like I have a hard time saying no. I do say no a little bit more than I used to, but my family will make fun of me because, we'll be on vacation and I'll be answering calls. I'll be writing an offer at midnight while I'm on vacation. And they're like, what are you doing? Just like say no. You can go to the next day. It's okay. Sometimes I get caught up in it, and I need to be better about that. But like you said, it's not life or death. And I think for us, for the agents listening out there, you have to remember that there is nothing that is life or death in real estate. There's important stuff that you need to get to quickly, but someone is not going to die if you do not call them back by 10 o'clock tonight. So just keep that in mind. So Andrew,
they may want to kill you, but
that's right. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. But they'll live. So last question I have for you. So being that I see you going places, doing really cool things. So what is your one bucket list item trip that you could take anywhere in the world at this point? Like what is in your mind that you would like to do, either with the family, without the family, golf trip, whatever you want to do? Like, what's your bucket list item that's still out there for you to take on?
Well, that's good, because I had a big bucket list one this past summer where we went to Ireland for a golf trip, which was spectacular.
Yeah,
that was awesome. But I think actually our bucket list item is coming to fruition the end of June, beginning of July next year will be my wife and I's 20th wedding anniversary. So we had a trip planned to Italy for our 15-year anniversary, and that, so I forget, some global pandemic got in the way of that, and we weren't able to make that happen. So it's actually probably better timing now. Our kids are a little bit older. It's going to make it a lot easier from a logistical standpoint to be able to take the amount of time that we want to take to go on that trip. So we are very fortunate. We have a buddy that owns a credit counseling or credit. He teaches credit and has really shown us how to maximize what we're spending, like business wise, to reap the benefits that we need. So we are able to use those miles to fly across the pond to pay for our flights to go over there. So it doing what we were doing anyhow, but now using the appropriate cards to get those benefits is going to help really offset a big chunk of that cost, because the cost of flights anymore are absolutely insane. So
it's funny that you bring that up, because years ago when Ann and I were just starting out in the business, there was going to be a group of us that was going to go over. I think we were going to rent a villa in Tuscany. And we were going to have a butler and everything. Like, it was like this like mega trip. And at the time, Ann and I weren't really making that much money. You know how it is early in
yep. Mm-hmm.
But we were going to sacrifice to make this once in a lifetime trip happen. The people that we were going with were more established in real estate. Like, they had more money than us. They were doing more business than us. And at the last second, everybody started to bail because flights like spiked. And I think, I don't know how expensive they were, but they were pretty ridiculous. But then the whole trip fell apart, and we were like, no, like, we're dead broke, but we were still willing to like make it happen. And the trip never happened, and we still have not rescheduled that trip to Italy. So we're dying to go. So I've heard nothing but good things. Obviously, can't beat the food, you can't beat the weather over there. But that's definitely on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one. Been a long time in the making, and we have one of our buddies who we travel with all the time. Him and his wife, they don't have kids, and they're their kids are travel and they go everywhere, and they've probably been to Italy 5 or 6 times at this point. So we have all of the insider knowledge that we need on where we need to go and what we need to do. But it certainly is certainly a trip that a lot of people look forward to, because it's, it's a great spot, apparently.
I'm going to preemptively say happy anniversary. That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, I like I said, we've known each other a long time. Thank you for coming on with me today. I appreciate your insight. Much continued success to you and your team. And I know that I'll see you before long.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. That was the conversation with Andrew Himes. Here are a few takeaways in talking with Andrew. Number one, Andrew has the right approach to real estate, and sometimes it takes time to get there. And by that, I mean having the ability to say no and understanding what is critically important and what can wait until tomorrow. It's easy to feel like everything needs to be done now in our business. And quite frankly, that's something that I struggle with and I've always struggled with. But Andrew does a great job of having that dividing line between what's critical and what can wait. And that allows him to free up time to do other things in his personal life. So number one, saying no to a certain task that you know can wait, or even to a client that wants you to rush out to a property at the drop of a hat, saying no will allow you to maintain that work-life balance and keep more personal time to yourself. Which leads me to number two, and that is understanding what is critical and urgent that needs to be done right now and what can wait until tomorrow. Andrew does a terrific job of discerning what is critical and what is not. And sometimes that takes years for us in our business to evolve to get to that point. But Andrew is very comfortable where he is at this point in his career, which allows him to do more of the things that he loves because he knows that this task can wait until tomorrow. So the next time that you feel compelled to act right away with something in real estate, ask yourself, is this something that is critical that needs my attention right now? Or is this something that can wait until further down the line, to allow yourself to have a couple hours to go take a walk, go to lunch with a friend, or spend more time with your kids? If you understand the tasks that are critical and those that are not, that will allow you to achieve more of that work-life balance. And the last point I want to make is something that Andrew does that I think is incredibly important each day, and that is getting to the office early. He's the only one there. He says a lot of times it's quiet. He can concentrate on what he needs to get done that day. He can focus on those critical tasks early enough in the day to free up hours later in the day for him to go play 9 holes of golf or maybe meet some friends for a happy hour. It allows you to get those things out of the way early enough so then later in the day you can enjoy your life. And it's small routine changes like that that can free up more personal time and add that to your day in order to enjoy more of that work-life balance. Well, that's it for this week's episode. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest, and as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast yet or left us a review, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski saying stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.